listen. Practice, speak. Practice makes you perfect.
Mastering business English conversation.
Right.
We're not talking grammar books here. Instead, we've taken 35, real-world work scenarios. Things like negotiating a deal or maybe asking for help with a tricky budget report, and we're pulling out the exact language that makes you sound, well, instantly more professional.
More competent.
Exactly. And this source material, it's more than just dialogues. Think of it as a kind of a conversational playbook, really.
A playbook. I like that.
Yeah. The aim isn't just learning words. It's about grasping the situational language, those phrases, those ways of speaking that manage expectations, signal diplomacy. Frankly, they just make workplaces run smoother.
Okay.
If you can internalize the script for those moments that usually, cause a bit of anxiety, you gain confidence almost immediately.
Right. So that's the mission today. Cut through all the noise, give you the essential language tools and the business thinking behind them, all drawn from these 35 common situations. High-value nuggets you can use right away.
Exactly. In your very next meeting, perhaps. So let's get into it. First up, building that initial trust, the social side of things.
Okay, first impressions. They matter. When you meet someone new at work, the conversation, it needs to shift pretty quickly from just social chat to something, well, strategically relevant.
Okay.
Look at the example, John and Sarah introducing themselves. A really key question comes up fast. Have you been with the company long?
Yeah. That's a great way to gauge tenure, isn't it? It tells you instantly about their perspective, their history with the place.
Yeah.
Someone there 5 years versus someone who started last week. You approach that relationship differently.
Absolutely. And the dialogues, they really stress identifying departments quickly, marketing, accounting, IT, whatever, not as silos, but as potential collaborators down the line.
Right, future points of connection.
And the way they close that first interaction, it's quite telling. Something like, let's exchange contact information. It might be helpful to stay connected.
It sounds a little formal, maybe, but effective.
It is effective. It's understated, but it signals intent. It basically says, I see potential value here for the future. It shifts it from just a chat to a potential professional link.
I wonder, though, with Teams, Slack, everything instant now, is that specific phrase about exchanging contacts still necessary, or does it sound a bit dated?
That's a fair point, but I think the phrasing still serves a purpose, even if the action of swapping details happens differently now.
How so?
It's about signaling that intent clearly, saying it might be helpful to stay connected is like diplomatic code. It means I might need your expertise later, and I value that possibility. It frames it around future benefit. That's networking, really.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the underlying message. And that kind of careful diplomacy, it seems to run through the small talk examples, too. Things like discussing books or photography or hiking.
Yes. And that's not just filler. It's necessary. It humanizes the professional interaction. Low-stakes ways to build a real connection.
Builds rapport outside the immediate task list.
Precisely. Small talk is like the lubricant for business interactions, and this connects directly to understanding company culture. The sources emphasize engaging in company events, social stuff.
It shows you're integrating, not just there to clock in and out.
Right. And part of that integration, a big part actually, is engaging with the company's, let's call it the internal operating system, meaning being open to giving feedback and maybe more importantly, receiving constructive feedback. The material really stresses this.
Okay. So showing you're not just doing your job in a bubble, but you're committed to getting better, to helping the team improve. That's a core value anywhere that performs well, isn't it?
It absolutely is. You've got to speak the language of growth. If all your conversations are just about tasks, you sound transactional. If you talk improvement, collaboration, you sound strategic.
Okay, so once that rapport is there, we get into the engine room, project management, meetings, logistics. This is where things can easily get derailed by poor communication. Let's look at scheduling conflicts first. How the language handles that.
This is where you see those linguistic softeners really shine. In the example, Mark suggests Monday at 10. Lisa can't make it.
Right.
She doesn't just say no. She says something like, Monday works, but can we do it at 11 a.m. instead?
The but instead combination. That's the key, isn't it?
It really is.
It validates the first suggestion, Monday works, so you're not just shutting it down. Then you propose the change. It keeps things flexible, professional, but still sets your boundary.
Exactly. Professionalism extends to setting up the meeting, too. They agree on outlining steps first, making sure crucial topics like budget and timeline are on the agenda before anything gets sent out.
Preemptive clarity avoids wasting time in the meeting itself.
Right. And preparation signals competence. Lesson 4 in the source material hammers this home, those pre-meeting checks.
It's not just showing up on time.
No. It's about making sure the revised agenda includes that new client feedback section. It's managing the time precisely, okay, 20 minutes for this presentation, then 10 for Q&A. It's checking the projector, printing reports, all those little things.
Meticulous preparation communicates efficiency. You look like you've got it together.
Absolutely. Now let's shift to project communication, especially under pressure, like that 3-month deadline scenario.
Right, tight deadlines.
The strategy there is clear. Prioritize tasks ruthlessly, assign responsibilities early, and crucially, flag resource needs proactively. Maybe you need additional software, for example. Mention it up front.
Don't wait until it's a crisis.
Never. And when you're reporting progress, the language needs to be proactive too. If Sarah says the project is on track, she immediately follows up by mentioning potential challenges, mainly technical in the example, but reassures everyone they're handling it.
And the constant refrain is promising regular updates.
That phrase comes up again and again. Communication is key. No manager, no stakeholder likes surprises.
So the strategy isn't just about what you report, but how and when. Reporting issues early, even if you have a fix, builds trust.
Precisely. It shows you're not hiding things. The language isn't just status updates, it's managing expectations. It demonstrates you're in control even when things get tricky.
Okay, let's tackle some of the really difficult conversations, where that mix of clarity and diplomacy is absolutely critical. Asking for help first, that can be stressful for people.
It can. Lesson 6, with Laura needing help on a budget report, it gives us the perfect template. Specificity.
Right, she doesn't just throw her hands up and say, I'm stuck on the budget.
No, she zooms right in. It's a classification issue she's struggling with.
And Kevin, the person helping, responds with super specific, actionable language, not vague advice.
Exactly. It's the detail. Okay, office supplies go under office expenses, travel costs, keep those separate from general expenses.
That level of detail makes it immediately useful, doesn't it?
Totally. The effective way to ask isn't just, I need help. It's more like, I'm having trouble categorizing these subsidiary costs. Specifically, I'm not sure where travel fits versus general operating expenses. It shows you've tried, and it respects your colleague's time.
Good point. Okay, moving to feedback, another high-stakes zone. The sources lay out a pretty structured approach for giving constructive criticism.
Yes, and the first rule is always, start with positive feedback first.
Like, your reports are generally well-structured.
Exactly. Frame it positively. Then you introduce the area for growth, often using softer language. Suggesting reports might say, lack detail, or could use more analysis.
But critically, you follow that immediately with specific examples.
You have to. Otherwise, it's just vague criticism. The goal is improvement, not making someone feel bad. Concrete examples make it actionable.
And what about being on the receiving end?
The key there is a proactive stance. Don't just sit there and nod. Engage with it. Ask for clarification. Okay, could you give me an example of what you mean by more analysis?
Shows you're listening and intend to act on it.
Right. And the scenario suggests proposing next steps, like, okay, maybe I should use more charts and graphs for a visual presentation. It shows ownership.
Makes sense. All right, negotiation. This feels like a culmination of many of these skills.
It really does. It requires a strong but adaptable flow in your language. The strategy outline starts with understanding the client's budget situation, not just pushing your price.
So understand their constraints first. Yeah. Then what?
Then you adjust the scope if needed, maybe offer a slightly smaller package. Then look for mutual beneficial terms. Perhaps a longer contract commitment in exchange for a price adjustment now.
Finding the win-win.
Exactly. But, and this is crucial, you always stay firm on your quality standards. No compromising there.
So the framing is key. It's not a battle. It's collaborative problem solving.
That's the ideal, yes. You're aiming for long-term value for both sides. The language should constantly highlight your specific strengths and why a longer relationship is beneficial for everyone.
Okay, finally, let's look at how we frame information, especially potentially difficult or sensitive stuff, in wider corporate communication, like email etiquette for bad news, a delayed shipment, for instance.
Yes. The professional email structure is non-negotiable there. Polite greeting, straight to the point. I am writing regarding order number XYZ. Clearly state the issue, the delay.
And then the request for an update needs to be polite, right?
Yeah.
Not demanding.
Definitely. Could you please provide a status update? It avoids any tone of accusation.
And you mentioned the impact, but objectively, something like, this delay is impacting our production schedule.
Exactly. It provides the necessary context and urgency, but without emotion or blame. Maintain that professional distance. Clear, calm, direct.
That same approach, clarity, transparency, seems to apply to internal stuff too, like policy changes or finance discussions.
It does. When reacting to policy updates, maybe new remote work rules or a more casual dress code, the language should tie it back to the strategic purpose.
So, connected to improving morale or productivity or whatever the goal is.
Right. Show you understand the why behind it. Frame it positively.
And budgets, especially budget cuts. Lesson 27 really emphasizes honesty and clarity.
Absolutely. Don't drown people in spreadsheets. Provide a summary. Explain the reasons behind the cuts. That justification is critical for buy-in, or at least understanding.
People need the context.
They do, and the sources consistently recommend using visuals, charts, graphs for finance or policy stuff. Make it easier to digest.
Use the tools available to help comprehension. Don't just rely on words.
Exactly. Even for the toughest talks, like internal restructuring mentioned in Lesson 34, the focus there is on handling the news with clear, compassionate communication.
Structuring the conversation to reassure people, offering concrete support, job search help, severance details.
Yes. Clarity, empathy, and process. Ultimately, from that very first introduction right through to wrapping up the day, Lesson 35, simple end-of-day phrases like, it was productive, thanks, or okay, I'm all set for tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Simple stuff.
Simple, but it all adds up. The language you choose consistently shapes your professional image and effectiveness.
Okay, so we've really unpacked the linguistic architecture, you could say, of 35 critical business situations. You should now have a much clearer idea of the exact phrasing for everything from tweaking an agenda to staying diplomatic during a tough negotiation.
And the core takeaway really is this. You're not just learning vocabulary lists here. You're internalizing the accepted professional scripts for success.
Right.
By practicing these situational dialogues, thinking through how you would handle them using this language, you significantly reduce that communication anxiety because you have a framework. You know how to structure your response, pretty much whatever comes up.
So here's the final thought for you, the listener. We've given you this playbook, 35 scenarios covering introductions, feedback, budgets, customer issues, the works. Which single conversation topic may be the one you dread the most? Which one will you proactively prepare and practice today? Don't just pick the easy one. Tackle the one that makes you slightly uncomfortable. That's where the real confidence building starts. Today, we're jumping into something that might be, well, the most immediately practical deep dive we've ever attempted.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's essentially a masterclass in business conversation, the essential stuff.
Ah, okay. That's critical.
And our sources, they aren't, dry academic textbooks. It's a blueprint, like 35 real-world business scenarios.
35? Wow.
Yeah, it's a complete shortcut, really, to the exact language you need for everything from internal coordination, wrangling schedules,
right,
to dealing with clients, negotiating the whole 9 yards, stuff that helps you grow your career.
Okay, so really practical templates.
Precisely. We're not just summarizing dialogues here.
Yeah.
We're pulling out the strategic frameworks, the core structures.
Got it.
The goal is to give you that instant conversational fluency, so you can turn that hesitation, that awkward pause,
into confidence. Competence.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Because the mission really is precision, isn't it? When you're under pressure, in a meeting or with a client.
Yeah, you don't have time to fumble for words.
Exactly. You don't want to be searching for the right vocabulary. You need the whole script, almost.
The whole flow.
Right. The opening line, how to navigate the middle bit, maybe a negotiation, and then how to close it professionally.
And this material gives you those templates.
It really does. Immediate dialogue templates. And our job today, I think, is to show you why those specific phrases, that sequence,
Why they work.
yes, why they signal professionalism, why they build trust, and ultimately how they can accelerate your career growth. It's the difference, really, between just speaking English
And speaking business English.
Nailed it. That's the key distinction.
Okay, let's unpack this blueprint then, this guide to conversational success. We've sort of grouped the material into 5 main areas.
Makes sense.
Starting with the foundation, really.
Yeah.
Building those connections, establishing rapport, understanding the workplace culture, right? So every professional relationship kicks off with an introduction, yeah.
The first step.
But these aren't just casual hellos. In a business context, they carry, like, strategic weight.
They absolutely do. And the material we looked at has a couple of really fascinating examples. They highlight the subtle shifts in language.
Depending on the situation.
Exactly, based on the context. So if you look at, say, the first 2 lessons in the source material,
Okay.
they really show the strategic difference. Introducing a new professional contact, maybe a future client, someone external.
Right, networking.
Versus meeting a new colleague, someone you'll be working with day in, day out. Very different dynamic.
So how does the language change?
Well, in that networking situation, the language is a bit more transactional. It focuses on professional anchor points.
Like what?
Like, hi, I'm John. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Standard enough. But then it shifts almost immediately to getting key information, exchanging useful data points. Things like tenure. Have you been with the company long?
Ah, okay. Establishing context.
Precisely. And department roles. Oh, I'm in the accounting department, or I'm in IT. You're placing each other professionally.
And the whole point of that exchange, the underlying goal.
It's not just being polite, no. The goal is to build a bridge. Something for the future.
So the conversation needs to lead somewhere specific.
Absolutely. It really has to end with that utility phrase, something like, let's exchange contact information to stay connected.
Right. Makes the whole interaction purposeful.
It validates it. That phrase is almost non-negotiable in external networking. Otherwise, why did you just have that chat?
Okay, so that's the external intro. How does it differ when you meet a new teammate?
Well, the language shifts quite dramatically. It goes from that polite, maybe slightly distant tone.
To something warmer.
Yes, to immediate integration, support. The template uses welcoming phrases like, welcome to the team, Emma.
Okay, more inclusive.
Definitely. And it's followed by an immediate declaration of shared function or potential overlap. Something like, I'm in IT, and actually, we often work closely with HR on new software rollouts.
Oh, I see. So you're not just stating your department.
No, you're stating your relevance to the new person right away.
That's clever. It makes the connection instantly useful.
Exactly. The source example even includes an immediate offer of practical help, like, hey, I could show you around if you like.
So it sets a collaborative tone from minute one.
For internal connections, the focus isn't selling or networking externally. It's about integrating that person, making them feel like a resource and seeing them as a resource, minimizing friction.
Maximizing that functional overlap right away.
You got it.
Okay, so introductions are covered. Let's move beyond the handshake. What about the dreaded small talk and navigating social time, like lunch breaks?
Yes. The zone where many people panic a bit.
Right. You feel like you have to be witty or spontaneous.
When actually, professional small talk is often quite well scripted, or at least follows predictable patterns, and it's often utilitarian.
Utilitarian. How so?
Well, think about the template provided for joining a group for lunch. It's simple, respectful, starts with, mind if I join you?
Okay, polite entry.
Crucial. Respects boundaries but allows you in. But then the utility of being in that social space quickly becomes clear.
Oh.
The dialogue immediately transitions. It becomes about gathering sort of institutional knowledge, exploring nearby places, finding a good cafe.
Oh, like discussing menu options, sandwiches, salads, vegan options, as the source mentions.
Exactly. It seems trivial, but it's social time being used for team cohesion, sharing resources, discovering things together. It builds bonds.
Okay, that makes sense. And the source also details the art of small talk itself, right? Knowing what topics work.
It does. It emphasizes knowing the right transition topics. You start general, safe, like weekend activities. Maybe someone went hiking.
Okay, low risk.
Very low risk. But the real connection, the rapport, gets cemented when you move carefully towards more specific interests.
Like books. The example mentioned a novel about historical Rome, empires and emperors.
Right. Or specific hobbies, like photography in another example.
So the key is finding common ground that's safe but detailed enough.
Exactly. Detailed enough to show genuine personality, genuine interest. It's not just surface level, and the language used reflects that deepening connection.
Like saying, oh, maybe I should join you sometime for the hiking.
Yes, or describing a photo spot as absolutely serene. That kind of shared language, shared appreciation, builds emotional rapport.
And that rapport is valuable.
It's currency. It really is. It's what helps you navigate future disagreements or high-pressure situations without damaging the relationship.
Right. Okay, so speaking of internal cohesion, let's look at team dynamics more broadly. The sources talk about adjusting to company culture, celebrating things like birthdays.
And even just how to wrap up the day professionally.
Let's start with culture. What's the advice there?
It's quite structural, actually. 3 main points come through. First, you need to engage. Participate in social events. Staying away signals detachment.
Makes sense. Be present.
Second, you have to demonstrate openness, both to giving and receiving constructive feedback. That's a big cultural marker.
Okay.
And third, observe and adapt to the professional style, including the dress code.
Dress code? Really?
Absolutely. It's not just about fashion. It's a nonverbal signal. It shows you understand and respect the organizational norms and expectations.
Huh. I hadn't thought of it quite like that. And what about birthdays? That could be awkward in an office.
It can, but the sources provide a template to make it smooth. They define the appropriate scale.
Which is?
Small celebrations. During break time, not disrupting workflow. Getting a cake, and this is crucial, asking about preferences first, don't assume.
Good point. Avoid the unwanted flavor.
Right. Maybe organizing a small collection for a simple, thoughtful gift, not extravagant, and, the optional but nice touch of singing happy birthday.
So it's about minimizing disruption, but maximizing the positive team feeling.
Precisely. It shows that effective business communication includes knowing how to coordinate these little team rituals.
Okay. And finally, the end-of-day check-in.
Ah, yes. Deceptively simple, but the source frames it as a required professional closing routine.
How does it work?
It starts with confirming productivity, a quick status update. Yeah, I was productive, thanks, or maybe I managed to finish that report.
Acknowledging the work done.
Right. Then it transitions cleanly and importantly, briefly, to personal plans. I might hit the gym or probably just relax at home tonight.
So it draws a line.
Exactly. It provides a clean psychological and professional boundary between work time and personal time. Signals the workday is officially wrapped up.
Okay, we've laid the groundwork with relationships and culture. Now let's shift gears to getting stuff done. The language of workflow, projects, meetings.
Right. Execution. This is where precision becomes absolutely critical. No room for ambiguity.
Let's start with meetings. Scheduling them, preparing for them. The sources offer a real masterclass here.
They do. Take scheduling. It's not just, hey, let's meet Monday. The specific language matters. How you propose times, how you adjust them.
Okay, give me an example.
So proposing, how about next Monday at 10 a.m.? Pretty standard. But if that needs to change...
You can't just demand a new time.
Right. You need to soften it. The source suggests phrasing like, okay, can we do it at 11 a.m. instead? And then, crucially, confirming immediately, okay, great, 11 a.m. is perfect.
Ah, that word, instead. And the immediate confirmation. It signals flexibility, respect.
Exactly. It respects the other person's schedule even while you're changing yours. But, just agreeing on a time is only the beginning.
You mean the admin burden?
That's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
The source material actually mandates these crucial admin steps as part of successful scheduling.
Like booking the room.
Booking the room, yes. Figuring out who specifically needs to be invited. The example mentions Tom and Susan from the design team, not just the design team.
Specificity.
Always. And pre-distributing the agenda, getting it out ahead of time. The source even suggests sending it before the weekend.
So people have time to actually read it and prepare.
Right. This level of preparation, this specific language around the logistics, it's a hallmark of professional maturity. It prevents wasted meeting time.
And that prep dialogue flows right into the pre-meeting checklist, doesn't it?
It does. The template for attending and presenting is quite extensive.
What does it cover?
Well, first, obviously, is your presentation ready? Have you reviewed the latest agenda? Maybe client feedback came in late Friday and it's been revised.
Good point. Check the version.
Clarify your speaking slot. The example has someone saying, okay, I'm scheduled right after the budget discussion around 10:30 a.m.
Knowing your cue.
Exactly. Confirming logistics. How long do I have? Okay, 20 minutes presentation plus 10 for Q&A. Have I checked the projector? Do I need extra copies printed and ready in the room?
Wow, that's thorough.
If you follow that checklist, you basically eliminate all those preventable logistical failures that can derail a presentation.
Okay, now what about taking that precision global? Conference calls, different time zones.
Yes. The source uses the example of coordinating teams from London and Tokyo. Big time difference.
Which means time is even more precious.
Absolutely. Conciseness becomes paramount. The call is scheduled for just 1 hour, so the dialogue emphasizes we need to be concise.
No rambling.
No rambling. And in that global virtual context, the technical checklist becomes even more critical than the content, at least initially.
Like making sure the tech works.
Absolutely. The dialogue requires specific verification. Do microphones and speakers work right? And the advice is clear. Log in 10 minutes early.
Iron out kinks beforehand.
If you're leading international teams, that specific technical check-in script is non-negotiable. It avoids wasting incredibly valuable, hard-to-schedule, cross-time zone executive time.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, moving from meetings to broader project execution. How does the language help turn deadlines into actual results?
The conversation needs to structure accountability. The source provides a template for that initial project discussion, setting the stage.
What are the key steps?
First, analyze the timeline realistically. The example says, the deadline is in 3 months. That's tight. Acknowledging the pressure up front.
Okay, facing reality.
Then prioritizing critical milestones. What has to happen by when? Assigning team responsibilities early, clear ownership.
Avoids confusion later.
Definitely. And budgeting for resources. The example mentions needing budget for additional software. This initial conversation basically turns an idea into a working agreement among everyone involved.
And then keeping things on track. Progress reports.
Yes, and the structure for a formal progress report is all about managing expectations effectively.
How does that look?
It starts by confirming what's been achieved. Okay, the design phase is complete. Clear statement of progress.
Celebrate the wins.
Then state the next phase. Now we move into development. And then, critically, you anticipate potential challenges.
Oh, interesting. You flag problems before they happen.
Or potential problems, yes. Maybe there are technical hurdles you foresee. Why mention them? Because it seeks support early. It manages expectations upwards.
Avoids nasty surprises.
Exactly. And it reinforces the need for regular updates and good communication to keep things on track. The language is proactive, not reactive.
That seems really key. Okay, last point in this section. Administrative clarity, budget reports, policies. It sounds simple, but can cause headaches.
Big headaches. And the template for asking for help with budget reports is a great illustration of how practical business English needs subject matter fluency, too.
Meaning?
You can't just say, I need help with the budget. The source material gets specific. It shows someone struggling with categorizing expenses.
The details.
Right. Is this office supplies or general office expenses? Is that travel cost or a general expense? The source provides these specific classification examples.
So the takeaway isn't just ask for help.
No, it's ask for the specific categorization rule you're stuck on. Because, as the source explicitly states, accuracy is key in budget reports. You need to ask the right specific question.
Okay. And discussing company policies, like the remote work example.
The template there models how to discuss these updates neutrally. So, new guidelines, 2 days remote work per week.
How should that be discussed?
Avoid overly emotional language. Focus on the perceived impacts, the potential benefits, maybe improved productivity, potentially better morale. The source links this partly to a more casual dress code allowed on remote days.
Interesting connection.
And also highlighting the value of associated things, like new training programs. The example mentions leadership training being rolled out.
So it turns a potentially dry policy announcement into a discussion about positive impacts and employee investment.
Exactly. It frames it constructively.
All right. Now we wade into arguably the most sensitive territory in the workplace. Giving and receiving feedback.
Definitely tricky. Get this wrong, and it can cause real problems.
Yeah. The conversational templates here seem crucial because they basically dictate whether that communication leads to actual growth or just resentment.
Absolutely. The lessons on feedback really define the structure for constructive dialogue. It goes way beyond just, the old sandwich approach.
Okay, so how should you give feedback? According to the sources.
Structure is key. You must start with genuine, specific, positive affirmation. Something like, your reports are generally very well structured.
Why start there?
To lower defensiveness. Make the person receptive. Then, and only then, you introduce the suggestions for improvement, for instance. However, this one was lacking a bit of detail. It could benefit from including more analysis.
Okay, positive first, then the area for improvement. What else?
2 critical elements. You absolutely need to offer concrete examples of what you mean by more analysis. And the explicit instruction in the source is to maintain a tone that is supportive, not critical.
If you skip the example.
The feedback is useless. It's too abstract. They have no idea what to actually do differently. The example makes it tangible.
Right. And what about receiving feedback? Is it just about listening quietly?
No, not at all. The source emphasizes that receiving feedback correctly is an active skill. You don't just nod.
What should you do then?
You use active learning techniques, ask clarifying questions, seek those examples we just talked about. Okay, when you say more detailed analysis, could you give me an example? Are you thinking more statistics or maybe showing trends over time?
Drilling down to understand.
Exactly. And then discuss implementing the changes. Talk about how you'll adapt. Maybe say, okay, I see. Perhaps shifting to a more visual format using charts and graphs would help present that analysis more clearly.
So you show you're processing it and planning to act.
Right. The successful close to receiving feedback is making an immediate commitment to integrating those changes into your next piece of work.
I really like that. The sources seem to treat feedback not as a judgment, but as a collaborative development plan.
That's a great way to put it.
It requires both sides to ask specific, measurable, actionable questions. You need those concrete examples.
Absolutely. If you walk away from a feedback session without specific, actionable examples, you haven't really received the feedback properly. You've missed the opportunity for growth.
Okay, powerful stuff. Shifting gears slightly to efficiency. Let's look at productivity tips. Again, these aren't just abstract ideas in the sources, are they?
No, they're presented as specific conversational strategies and commitments for managing your workflow better.
So what are the key time management strategies highlighted?
They're very specific. Things like the requirement for daily task lists, prioritizing those tasks based on impact, not just urgency.
Okay, basics but important.
Using buffer time, scheduling gaps in your day for those unexpected tasks that inevitably pop up.
Smart. Prevents your whole schedule derailing.
And critically, the advice to actively avoid multitasking.
Really? Avoid it.
Yes. The source clearly states it reduces quality. It debunks that common myth that juggling equals efficiency. In high-stakes business, focused work is paramount.
Huh. Interesting. And Lesson 29 apparently gives us the tools to enforce that focus.
It does. It introduces specific techniques you can discuss implementing, like the Pomodoro technique.
The timer method. 25-minute sprints.
Exactly. Working in focused intervals. It also gives really solid email management advice.
Which is?
Check email at specific times. Schedule it. Don't have it constantly open, constantly interrupting your focus.
That's a tough habit to break for many people.
It is, but the dialogue template encourages committing to it, and it recommends using task management software properly to keep track of everything, especially dependencies between tasks. The conversation is about committing to these structural changes.
Got it. And the final piece in this section is about collaboration, teamwork.
Right. Improving how teams work together. The essentials highlighted are pretty clear.
What are they?
Regular communication, obviously, defining roles very clearly, who does what, and encouraging open discussion for decision-making, making it safe to contribute ideas.
So structural things to minimize conflict later.
That's the idea. But conflict does happen, inevitably.
So how do the sources suggest handling disagreements?
The phrasing is important. Deal with them with respect and a focus on finding solutions.
Yeah.
It's about the process and the attitude, not just winning the argument.
And for remote teams, any specific advice there?
Yes. The conversation template for remote teams highlights the practical need for good collaborative tools, shared documents, project platforms, and, crucially, regular, structured check-ins.
To keep everyone connected.
Exactly. Distance shouldn't mean detachment. Those check-ins need to be mandatory, really, to ensure everyone's clear on their roles, progress, and any blockers they're facing. Timely resolution is key when you're not physically together.
Okay, let's move outside the organization now. Dealing with suppliers, clients, partners. This is often where the stakes feel highest, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The language here needs to be more than just professional. It needs to be strategically persuasive, carefully managed.
Where do we start? Formal correspondence, emails.
Yes, the source provides a really useful step-by-step guide for writing a professional email. The example is writing to a supplier about a delayed shipment. Very common scenario.
What's the structure?
It's quite rigid, and for good reason. Polite greeting, Dear Mr. Johnson. Clear statement of purpose. I am writing regarding order number XYZ.
Get straight to the point.
Then a clear, factual statement of the issue, the delay. And finally, a polite but firm request for a status update. Could you please provide an update on the expected delivery date?
What's the key insight there? It seems straightforward.
The insight is the balance. You have to maintain firm control and convey the seriousness of the issue. The example mentions, this delay is impacting our production schedule, but the language must remain procedural and professional, not emotional or accusatory.
To preserve the long-term relationship.
Exactly. You need that supplier again next month, so firm but professional.
Got it. Okay, now for the really high-stakes stuff. Negotiation and sales.
Right. The negotiation template in the source details some very proactive strategies. It's not just about reacting to the client.
What does it suggest?
It starts with truly understanding the client's budget constraints. Don't guess. Then, proactively offer alternatives if the main proposal is too expensive.
Like smaller packages.
Smaller packages, maybe adjusting the scope slightly. Or another angle is suggesting a longer contract term, which might allow for a better annual rate. Find mutual benefit.
What if the client still pushes back, maybe wants lower quality for a lower price?
That's where the template mandates holding firm on quality. The phrase used is absolutely quality should not be compromised.
Unnegotiable.
Right. And if you reach an impasse on price despite offering alternatives, the source provides a strategic fallback.
Which is?
Don't just cave or walk away angrily. Instead, suggest revisiting the discussion in a few months.
Keep the door open.
Exactly. It preserves the relationship and your quality standards. It avoids making a desperate decision you'll regret. Structured retreat.
Okay, that's a negotiation strategy. What about the sales pitch itself?
The focus there is relentlessly client-centric. The dialogue template demands that you start by demonstrating you understand the client's needs.
Not just talking about your product features.
Precisely. Detail the benefits for them, how it solves their problem, not just listing features. You also need to anticipate the tough questions they might ask. Be prepared.
Use visuals.
Yes, use engaging visuals. And critically, end with a strong summary of those key benefits and a clear call to action. What do you want them to do next?
So the language has to shift entirely from, here's what we have, to here's how we solve your specific issue.
That's the core bit.
And then closing the deal. Getting the signature.
There's a specific conversational checklist for that final stage, too.
Like what?
Make sure you've addressed all their remaining concerns. Reiterate the main benefits one last time. Ensure everyone understands the contract details. Careful review is key. Assure them of future support after the sale.
Building long-term trust.
And during that final negotiation phase, you need to balance being flexible enough to get the deal done, but firm on your core terms. It's a delicate dance. Every step is about reducing their perceived risk and cementing that trust.
Okay, sales covered. The sources also provide frameworks for something more mundane but essential. Logistics.
Yeah.
Travel planning.
Yes, and even here, the language requires precision. Look at the template for planning a trip, say, to the New York office.
What does it mandate?
Setting clear dates. Okay, let's aim for the first week of next month. Booking specifics. I need to fly out Monday. I'll need 3 full days there, so returning Thursday. Stating preferences clearly. I'd prefer a hotel close to the office, please.
Clear instructions for whoever is booking.
Exactly. And the follow-up dialogue, the one about the detailed booking requirements, shows a great eye for managing both cost and comfort.
How so?
It gets really specific. Dates confirmed. Okay, the 15th to the 19th. Airline preference mentioned, maybe even asking for comfortable legroom.
Yeah.
Hotel requirement refined, needs to be within walking distance of the conference venue.
Saving on taxis.
Right, and arranging rental cars, but specifically only for the first and last days, for airport transfers, not for the whole duration if it's not needed.
Every detail is negotiated and planned through the dialogue. Very efficient.
Very. It prevents mistakes and managing costs.
Okay, last couple of points in this external section. Handling customer inquiries and discussing finances internally.
Right. For customer service, dealing with inquiries, the dialogue template stresses the soft skills.
Like listening.
Listening carefully, yes. Taking notes so you don't miss details. Staying calm and empathetic, especially with difficult or upset customers.
And what if you don't know the answer immediately?
That's where the essential professional fallback phrase comes in. The source highlights this. It's perfectly okay to say something like, that's a good question. Let me find out the exact details for you, and I'll get back to you by time frame.
So you don't guess or give wrong information.
Exactly. You don't commit to an instant solution you can't deliver, but you commit professionally to finding the resolution. That builds trust even when there's a problem.
Smart. And finally, discussing budgets. Maybe with your own team.
Transparency is the key message there. The template emphasizes outlining the current financial situation clearly.
But not overwhelming people with spreadsheets.
Right. Provide summaries, give the key information, not every single line item unless necessary. Be honest about any necessary budget cuts or constraints. Don't sugarcoat it.
Use visuals.
Yes, definitely use visuals, charts, graphs to make the financial discussion more engaging and easier to understand. Financial dialogue needs to be accessible, not intimidating.
All right, we've saved the really complex, sometimes emotionally charged conversations for last.
Yeah, the tough stuff. Conflict, career changes, major organizational shifts.
These dialogues require the absolute most precise, carefully chosen language, don't they?
Without a doubt. One wrong word here can have significant consequences.
Okay, let's look at internal dynamics first. Sharing office news, maybe potentially bad news, and mediating conflict.
Right. The templates cover both. When sharing news, say, a new team leader is coming in, or there's talk of restructuring.
How should that be handled?
The dialogue must actively manage the sentiment. It's not just about delivering the facts, it's about framing.
So spin it positively.
Carefully, yes. Frame it constructively. Use phrases like, she has a great reputation for X, or encourage the team to keep an open mind about the changes. Your role isn't just information delivery, it's providing stability through the transition.
Okay, managing the narrative. And what about when internal issues boil over? The example used was conflict over workload distribution.
Ah, yes, a classic source of friction. The source recommends a very specific mediation protocol. It's a required 3-step process.
What are the steps?
First, talk to the team members involved individually. Understand each person's perspective privately. No ambushing.
Okay, gather intel separately.
Second, synthesize what you've heard. Understand both sides objectively. And only then, as a third step, potentially bring them together for a joint discussion, if appropriate.
Why potentially?
Sometimes resolving it separately is better. But if a joint discussion happens, the stated goal, the language you use, must be about finding a fair solution together. Okay. Let's mediate this and find a fair path forward. The focus is always on keeping team harmony in mind.
So the script protects the mediator from looking biased and protects the team from public arguments.
Exactly. It structures the resolution process safely.
Okay, now for the really high-stakes career conversations. Job interviews and dismissals.
The job interview structure detailed goes beyond just the basic questions you'd expect.
How so?
Well, after the standard expressing interest, detailing your relevant experience, the focus shifts strongly to behavioral questions.
Like, tell me about a time when...
Exactly. How did you handle a tight deadline? Describe your teamwork style with a specific example. They want proof, not just claims.
And the template also shows the candidate asking questions.
Yes. Critically, it models the importance of the candidate proactively asking about team culture, specifically about collaboration styles, opportunities for continuous learning.
Why is that important for the candidate to ask?
It shows you're not just looking for any job. You're vetting the company for long-term fit. It signals maturity and strategic thinking about your career. You're interviewing them too.
Yeah, good point. Okay, now the toughest one. Lesson 33, the dismissal.
Yeah. Extremely difficult conversation. The language here has to be incredibly direct, but also supported.
What does the template emphasize?
It requires clearly acknowledging the performance issues that led to the decision. No ambiguity. Then stating the necessary outcome directly. Unfortunately, this means we have to let you go.
Direct and clear.
But immediately followed by outlining the specific support being offered. This is crucial.
Like severance.
Severance package details, yes. Offering job searching assistance, maybe access to outplacement services, committing to continued support for a defined period, like the next month.
So compassion in this context isn't about softening the message.
No, it's about providing concrete, actionable resources alongside the necessary, difficult consequence. That's professional compassion.
Right. Okay, finally, how does business English adapt to really large-scale change? Restructuring or even specific industrial settings?
The restructuring dialogue is a prime example of carefully chosen language to justify tough decisions.
Using phrases like,
this restructuring is necessary for our long-term growth, even when it involves difficult news like reducing the team size by 10%.
And explaining the why.
Yes. Specifying the criteria used for evaluation performance, skills alignment with future needs, and emphasizing the commitment to clear, compassionate communication throughout the process, again, offering practical support like job search help and severance.
Managing the human impact of a business decision.
Exactly. And then, to show the full spectrum, the sources take us right onto a factory floor.
to show how language adapts.
Precisely. Here, the business English becomes intensely specific and technical, matching the environment.
Like what?
Discussing whether the assembly line is running smoothly, updating maintenance logs correctly, checking safety supplies, and the example is brilliantly specific. We're running a bit low on gloves.
Very practical detail.
Machine calibration checks, tracking production targets. Actually, we're slightly ahead of schedule this week. The vocabulary is entirely functional for that specific context.
So the big takeaway there is
that every professional domain, every industry, every function has its own precise dialect of business English. You have to master the functional script for your specific environment.
right. If you manage inventory in that factory, knowing how to say we're a bit low on gloves is just as vital in its own way as knowing how to say we need to revisit the budget assumptions in a finance meeting.
Absolutely. Context dictates the essential language. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, so we've really covered a lot of ground there. We successfully broke down those 35 scenarios across, 5 major areas?
From those first greetings and navigating small talk.
Right, through the nitty-gritty of project management and meeting precision.
Handling external negotiations, sales pitches, logistics.
And all the way to managing those really sensitive organizational changes and conflicts.
Yeah, it's a comprehensive map.
And the real power of this source material, it seems to me, is that it's not just teaching isolated words or phrases.
No, it's much more than that.
It's providing the actual structure, the sequence of steps, even the underlying psychological framework for basically every key professional dialogue you're likely to face.
I think the main insight, the big synthesis we can pull from this deep dive is exactly that. Effective professional communication, especially in English, isn't really about brilliant improvisation or spontaneous wit.
It's about preparation.
It's about strategic preparation. It's about knowing the right conversational framework for the specific situation you're in.
Like knowing the 5-step protocol for a sales pitch is totally different from the 3-step mediation process for that workload conflict.
Completely different structures for different goals. And having these structural blueprints, these templates we've discussed, it eliminates that hesitation. It lets you focus on the content because you already know the right conversational path. It maximizes your professional impact.
Okay, so we've analyzed 35 templates for success today.
We have laid them all out.
Now, for you listening, consider this final provocative thought. Which one of these 35 specific structured dialogues, maybe it's the budget discussion, maybe it's that strategic negotiation retreat, perhaps it's asking for really specific feedback, which one are you currently approaching with the most improvisation, the least structure?
Where are you just winging it the most?
Yeah, because mastering that single specific framework, the one you're currently neglecting, that could be the immediate unlock, the key to your very next professional achievement. Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
That's it for this deep dive. We really hope this roadmap to conversational competence serves you well.
Hope it helps.
We'll see you next time.